drank too much. I can't even type.
Perfect.
Yo, I can't type. Oh. Why am I only seeing our Periscope? I'll just do it this way, and then I'll do it that way. Like this, that. Why am I hearing myself?
Gesundheit. I don't know.
I'm hearing myself. Oh. I shouldn't sing. It's because I got the stream open. Oh, for some reason I started playing on Twitter.
That's weird.
Go away. Okay. I fixed it.
Yes.
Thomas.
Hello. My name is Thomas. I'm here
Let me hear
to
you talk.
give you all of the wonderful news that we've missed the last couple weeks. Let's see if my mute button works correctly. It does not. Oh, God.
I don't know. You still sound a little louder than we are,
Can
but
drop that just a
I guess
notch. There we go.
All right. Let's go ahead and talk now that you dropped it.
Check. This is Tom. I'm coming here talking loudly, being me, things.
That's way better.
Why is it called ugly? Because they're not professional.
All right, cool. Much better.
Why is the
Discord?
mute?
Why'd I get logged out? Why am I logged out of Discord?
Because you never participate. That's why.
I'm always in there.
Never participate.
Oh, my lights.
Because I don't know how to use Discord.
You don't know how to use Discord?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Careful, you're talking about a $10 billion company.
Oh, shit. I'm not wearing a hat. You guys gotta tell me when I'm not wearing a hat. Jesus Christ, man.
Discord, big time, real science lab innovations. What? What is this? I give up. Nobody wants to hear from me anyway.
All right, so I think before the show even starts, we have to come to some sort of agreement about how much politics we're going to talk about.
I don't know, does it count as politics if it's about treason?
I feel I'm fine talking about that sort of stuff after the show. I think like the Twitter, Facebook banning stuff has some relevance if it comes up, but you know, I mean, do we have PHP stuff to talk about? I guess that's my biggest question.
I mean, just personal stuff, like our personal weeks and stuff.
I have
that's
genomes.
perfect. I mean, I think that's what people like to hear. All right. To John's point, I think people want to hear.
I can't wait to talk about that. I want to talk about enums.
Oh God.
No.
All right.
Tom, your screen is frozen. Why is your screen frozen? What's wrong, Tom? What's going on?
Oh my God, Tom, your screen's not moving. Oh, it's okay. It came back.
Come on, I had to, for old time's sakes.
I don't.
Please don't hate me. I was trying to promote our show on Rocket League 15 minutes ago.
Oh no, we don't want that community
How'd that work
coming
out
to us.
Yeah. It was good.
You guys ready?
Yes.
I am. I'm just chilling.
All right. I'll kick us off.
All right.
You gotta work on mute button.
Or just put the thing away for just 45 minutes. It's okay. You can set it down. See, how about this? I've got over half a beer left. I won't touch it for the entire show if you don't touch yours.
Why would we
little
both take
smoky
such
thing.
a losing proposition?
Because you can drink and put it and like laugh at me for
Why would I
not.
want to do that?
I don't know. Just trying. I'm trying something. Listening to that.
You're not going to hear it anymore.
Trying to start the show is what I'm trying to do. I don't know. I'm not doing too well. Where are your glasses at, John? You have you gone to the eye doctor yet? I don't want your pretend glasses.
No, I need to go to the eye doctor, but here, I'll make you feel better.
Make me feel better. I want you to go to the eye doctor. That would make me feel better.
Is COVID over yet?
No, it's not.
I don't go anywhere.
All right.
I'm not gonna.
Ready.
Right.
Somewhere
We're ready.
like breathing into my eyeballs.
What was that beep? What's that beep?
Tom, we
You're
lost
muted.
you.
you
Can't
guys
hear
can
what
hear
you're saying.
It's the mute.
It's okay
it's the
if
mute
it's
when
you.
I
It's just
when I mute my microphone.
It's fine. I mean, as long
No,
as I
because
know
you'll
what
hear
it
it
is.
way more than you want to hear.
Except you're gonna hear it on stream. Yeah.
No, you won't hear it on
You
stream.
don't wanna
You're
hear
hearing
it.
it because I'm broadcasting my computer audio to Skype.
Oh.
You
So
won't
we
hear
will
it.
hear it or we won't hear it. I'm confused now. Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm starting. You're listening to episode 218 of PHP Ugly. And welcome to 2021. And I made a promise to myself. As long as 2021 didn't get weird, I wasn't going to drink alcohol. That almost lasted 7 days. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson. And
Because
with
it got
me
really weird yesterday.
in this new year are my new hosts. Oh no, same ugly guys as always. John Congdon.
I tried changing over the break. It didn't work.
Hey.
And Thomas Right Up. Welcome to 2021. If this is your first time listening to us, let me give you a little breakdown, a little rundown, a little synopsis of what you're listening to. This is the PHP Ugly podcast. We are, despite what the name may lead you to believe, 3 PHP developers who are very passionate about the PHP programming language and, oddly enough, not very good at it. But that's beside the point.
Speak for yourself.
John and I run a small development studio here in Southern California. We have clients all over the place, but that just happens to be where we're physically located currently. And Thomas is a somewhat close friend of ours.
Somewhat.
Jeez.
What a jerk.
Yeah. He's a close friend that we like to keep at arm's distance. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
He used to be closer until he moved away, bastard.
Yeah. And we like to get together on a weekly basis, as mandated by our parole, to discuss what we're doing in our professional lives as PHP developers, in our just hobbies, which a lot has to do with PHP development, and anything else that happens to come up as far as tech, geek, and nerd
Do you think we
stuff
could get
goes.
a lot of followers if I said I was a programmer for the Dominion voting machines?
We typically try not to talk too much about politics.
Unless you
But I
listen
have
to
a
the whole
feeling-
past, 4 years.
I have a feeling this one's going to be
Well, I'm just going to be
hard to
referencing
avoid.
the country in question as Wakanda. So I will say that armed insurgents stormed the capital of Wakanda.
How about instead of this, how about we talk about our weeks?
Nope.
Our programming weeks, our work weeks. How about we go back to, it's been 3 weeks since we've been together. What have you been up to outside of this craziness from yesterday? We don't have to talk about a single day when we have 21 other days we can talk about.
I have my PSA moment.
day was so important. I do want to bring up something about that. Go ahead.
I
What's your
do. I
PSA
want
moment?
everyone who's listening to look up how to do CPR online. You can learn how to do it with online courses, and I did it a couple months ago, and on Monday it saved my son's life. So I want to
That's awesome,
reinforce that everyone can learn it, and it is simple. You don't need to pay for anything. You don't need to buy a certificate. You can just learn it online.
Yeah, I know we talked about this, and you don't want to go into deep detail. Just wanted to share that with the listening audience.
So that was my Monday.
Yeah. So I obviously we had some craziness.
We're happy
Yes.
he's okay. Let's start there.
Yeah.
We're
Very
happy
happy.
Stone's okay.
Oh, and
He's
made a
full recovery.
right? And
Right now
that's-
he's
that
got fractured ribs, but that's the lesser of two problems. So
Yes.
he is recovering quite well and back to his old teenage self yelling at video games.
Can I tell you that right this very minute I'm being spammed in Slack? XMPP disconnected on, and then like 4 or 5 different IP addresses. It popped up, and I was completely freaked out. And then somebody says, "This is intentional." Okay. I was scared that I was gonna have to drop from this episode to go deal with an emergency, but I guess it's not
Excellent.
an emergency.
Well, interesting that you bring up Slack, because the first work day of 2021, when like most of the world goes back to the office, Slack decided it wasn't done with its holiday. It's taking a nap. And like the world came crumbling down.
It's amazing how much you depend on services, and when they go down, you're freaking out. And you're like, I don't know what to do.
Well,
Like, I get so much information, not just from other people, but I get a lot of my calendar information through Slack. Like, hey, time to jump on this Zoom call, and there's a link for me, so I click it through Slack. So when it's not there, it's like I start to freak out.
And let's be clear here: Slack, the $27.7 billion purchase by Salesforce last year.
Which is a PHP product, mind you. Slack is built on PHP. Want to put that out there.
So it's relevant, is what you're trying to say.
Yes, that's my point. Yeah, I'm kind of I'm walking.
So you're saying
walking
PHP is a horrible language and you shouldn't program in it because you'll go down.
I was focusing more on you can get $21 billion if you build a good PHP application. But
that makes way more sense.
Well, you know what
Just
was interesting is I heard a story on NPR where they were talking about Wall Street opening back up on Monday, and all these Wall Street traders had no idea what to do. And I was just like, you guys didn't know services go down? Come on. Like, you had no secondary thing to go fall over on? Nope. Email is functionally dead.
Eric was a very good CTO. He immediately emailed everyone in the company saying, "Get on Skype. That's our backup. You should be on there."
Which I shouldn't have had to do. Everybody should have just already been there, but didn't seem to happen. So we'll have to revisit that again. But, yeah.
Everyone was like, "It'll be up any minute. I can be off. I can be away from communication for an hour. I'll be fine." And Eric's like, "Get online now. I must talk to you."
Yeah, it was, and to get I didn't even notice it at the time because it was early in the morning, and I have one of our clients messaging us. I think Slack is down. Like, okay, well, there's not shit I can do about that if it is, but yeah, texting me, which is alarming. Like when I look down at my phone and I have a text message from a client, my clients never text me. We have this one client that will text me when shit's really hit the fan. So to see the phone vibrate and see his name in a text message, I'm like, oh dear God, it's only Monday. Let's not make it that bad, you know.
It's Monday at not even 8 a.m.
The situation with Slack, though, I find really curious because it went down for everyone. I mean, does that mean that there is just zero failover for their system? Like, everything goes, it goes?
Well, I don't even know what the issue was. I haven't even looked at.
Did they ever follow up with that?
Yeah,
that'd be interesting. I heard AWS was also having issues, so I assumed it had something to do with that, but I didn't experience the same issues. So I didn't look into it.
I'm looking into it. I'll let you guys know what I find, but
all right, you let us know. Hey, Andy and Buttery, miss you, brother. Hope you had a good holiday, Andy. You as well. Hope you had a good holiday. If you happen to be joining us live on Twitch or YouTube or Periscope, you can chat with us through any of those devices. You can also join us in our Discord channel. You can get there through discord.phpugly.com, and that will take you to where you need to be. I want to thank everybody who has recently subscribed to our YouTube channel. I mean, it's not like crazy numbers. I think we're up to like
2 billion people subscribed.
I think we're up to like 200 maybe.
Oh.
No, not even 200, 195. But it was cool. We do appreciate Twitch. We've been getting a couple of people subscribing to us on Twitch, so that's always fun. So thanks. I mean, it's just nice to know that people are out there and appreciating listening to us.
How the broadcasting the Twitch works, because from what I understand from our good friend Harry Mack, you cannot broadcast to Twitch and then also broadcast to other services unless you wait 24 hours.
I don't think we're as big as Harry Mack for them to care. But I mean, if it came down to that, we wouldn't broadcast to Twitch. Twitch is
that's basically it's basically what he's doing. He put out a video recently where he's trying to make Discord his kind of central location, and he'll still broadcast to other places, but if you want to be involved in a lot of his things, Discord is the way to go. And so you should join us on Discord, and one day I will learn how to use it.
So yeah, thanks. Man, we didn't even listen to our Harry Mack before we started. You got me wanting to listen to Harry Mack.
I was performing it for you before we went live.
2, 1, 2.
We're not professional.
Besides that, I mean, like
Eric,
I said,
how was your holidays? That's what I want to know. I want to know how those went.
John, you know where my holidays were. I'm trying to avoid.
That was a year ago, wasn't
it? Seems like it.
Oh man, it was a lot more to do on a holiday than I had hoped. But yeah, it was busy. It was a busy holiday. I did do some coding, got a few things done, updated our internal, or not our internal. I've done a lot of stuff with PHP Argus. Oh, PHP Argus. Oh, PHP Argus. Jesus.
What are you talking?
Argus.2. Argus.to. We mentioned a while back. We did kind of a soft launch of it. We opened it up. We got clients. We got like people we don't know signed up for the service. Now, of course, they're on the 45-day free trial. But
why is it 45 days? I still don't get that. Where'd 45 come from?
John, you've got to come to the meetings. That's all I have to say about it. You've got to come to the freaking meetings.
Because I would shoot it down. 45 days is too long.
So to catch everybody up, Argus.to is the first product that we built from the ground up as Diego Dev, and we've opened it up for the general population to consume. All it is a drop dead, super simple cron monitoring service. That's all it does. It's something we needed for a couple of clients. We just started working on it and just decided to make it a whole service. But yeah, I spent a few days, going through that code and just, I mean, I spent like a week after we did the soft launch, just doing a bunch of quick iterations. So that has been super exciting. And I realize how much using Vue.js framework as our front end framework took things out of hand so quickly. Like I'm going to just start slamming in Livewire. Like every opportunity I have, I think Livewire is just replacing stuff because I love Livewire now. I mean, I knew I was going to love it from the moment I saw it. So we built a lot of things in Laravel. I mean, we're always discussing about taking another direction, but for the time being, a lot of us stuff's built in Laravel, and Argus.to is built in Laravel. The service is not specific to Laravel. I don't want you guys thinking that, but it's and when we started it, I don't even think Livewire was a thing. Like when we were first kind of messing around with the idea and kind of doing some proof of concept stuff. So we started building up, and of course, if you listen to the show in the last year, I've gotten like crazy passionate about Livewire. I enjoy it because I'm a PHP developer. I don't want to learn another framework like Vue.js or React or any of that other stuff to do front end stuff. I'm a PHP developer. Let me do it in PHP. But there's no arguing what JavaScript brings to front end. That's where Livewire comes in. Oh man,
when you rewrite the first component from Vue to Livewire, I want to see what you do. I would like you to put me on a Zoom call, show it to me.
I accept that challenge.
Because I know what Vue can do, and I want to see how you are replacing it with Livewire.
Absolutely. You know what? I actually know of. I suspect there's a bug in the system that I was going to confirm this weekend. And if it is, in fact, the bug, I think it is.
There's no bugs in Argus. Stop.
I'm going to rewrite that entire component with Livewire, and I'll let you know. And maybe we can do some pair programming so you can kind of see this stuff in action. But I have introduced Livewire already to the website. So that's already happened. It's already there. I built a little search functionality in our FAQs, and it's smooth and sweet, and it works perfectly, and I'm very happy with it. Boom, baby. Livewire for the win.
That's the entirety of my contribution.
Do you know, is Livewire specifically for Laravel, or is Laravel just using Livewire? Can you use it outside of Laravel apps?
Gee, that's a great question. I do not think you can, but maybe you can. I don't know the answer to that, John. That would be a good question. I'm trying to think of why you couldn't, though, because, well, no, it has to be a Laravel thing because it has blade components that need to happen. So if you're not aware of what Livewire is, it is JavaScript. I mean, I'm kidding myself if I think I'm not using JavaScript. It just hides JavaScript from the developer. It lets you do all your stuff in PHP, and then it handles all the JavaScript for you. So it's very, very cool. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Livewire currently, I want to say it's only for Laravel, but I don't think it would take a lot. Well, yeah, it would, because it would need to know what templating engine you're running on, because again, that's where it's doing a lot of its magic. So I don't know. Yes, right now it's for Laravel. Yeah.
Weird.
You're weird.
No, I'm getting a phone call at 9:30 at night. That's weird.
It's not me. I'm right here.
That client.
And I'm not drunk yet.
I know, but it was driving me nuts because it's ringing in my ears while we're trying to chat. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
So yeah, I cannot wait to see more about that, because the application I work on has invested heavily in Vue.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just curious what you're wanting to replace, or how you're replacing the Vue components with Livewire.
Yeah, and Vue is not a bad solution. It's a bad solution for me. because I struggle with JavaScript. I can't tell you why I struggle with JavaScript. I just do. I don't particularly care for it. But JavaScript is such a powerful platform. I really need to buckle down. And Vue was going to be that incentive. I'm like, okay, because of all the frameworks and implementations of JavaScript that I've messed around with, Vue was the one that was clicking with me the most. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, this is making a lot of sense. I'm understanding how things are. And then Vue did the jump to Vue 3. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of relearning there that they're asking for. And something was going on in the PHP community at the time as well. And of course, and before all that, Livewire got released, and I've fallen off the map with Vue. I feel sort of confident that if I had to pick it back up, I could get back into the groove. But I don't know. It's just
I feel that way, but I've got a couple of people that develop Vue applications and components, and while I feel like I understand the pure basics of Vue, and there was a time where I thought I was decent at JavaScript. Mm-hmm. I get so lost so quickly. It's like conceptually, I think I know what's happening, but they're doing things that's just like all the new stuff in JavaScript is just mind blowing.
That's the problem. I mean, you get the new stuff in JavaScript, you got the new stuff in Vue, and then it reminds me a lot of when I was trying to understand object-oriented programming with PHP. It's like I get lost of, okay, where am I supposed to put this? Okay, where do I define this at? What fucking place do I define this at? And
I think the biggest issue with JavaScript is the scope of this, the global this, and that's. I mean, I get caught on that when I'm doing any kind of JavaScript. If it's Vue, if it's jQuery, if it's Bootstrap, that stuff is always what gets me tripped up the most. Yeah.
Really? I've gotten pretty good about reassigning this to self and then passing self around, which is a pain in the ass, but I understand when you change scope, you're not in this anymore.
Right.
Even though you conceptually you think you're in this, so you have to pass self into it, and then you're like,
well, and that's where the most benefit I've gotten from ES6, the latest version of JavaScript, is the then stuff. Do this, then do this. Boy, and I can't remember what that's called right now. Promises.
You're talking about promises?
Promises clean up a lot of that confusion for me. But then async promises reconfuse me.
Because you have the same issue of what scope are you in at that moment in time.
And you're in the scope of the promise, which is a child of the parent object.
So that brings me back to PHP, where I get that same confusion from self to static. Like conceptually, they're very similar, and so you're doing a hierarchy of classes, and then static means something different than self.
I just stay away from self completely with PHP.
Do you really?
So Roger, do you? I do too. I don't use self in PHP. Roger in chat says that arrow functions help with the self mess. I don't understand how that helps with the self mess though.
I think it makes it cleaner to read so that you can see when you're in or out of a scope much easier.
Mm-hmm. That is fascinating, Buttery. They treat the use of this outside of any sort of class as a code smell. Well, actually, I guess that makes sense. Within ES6, if you're using good classes, object-oriented programming, that makes more sense. But when you go back to just prior to ES6, which I'm still not an ES6 person, understanding what a class is versus not it gets very tricky really quick. Because prior to ES6, any object, any kind of like squiggly braces makes it an object, and then you're technically in a this, right?
Yeah.
You're in an object.
One of my issues is that all of our JavaScript is scrounged off the internet from somewhere. We have very little of our own JavaScript actually running in the system, except to call JavaScript we found from somewhere else, and it's all written in different styles. It's part of it is for jQuery, like it's a jQuery add-on. Part of it is for Bootstrap. Part of it is for God knows what. It was taken out of a Vue class. So our stuff is just hacked together. And I actually had a project where I needed to go through and minify a bunch of our JavaScript, and the project got abandoned because minification failed on a ton of our stuff.
Oh, is that right before we went on break? You said that you brought down
yeah,
production or something.
Yeah, it's because it had minified the code and not told me that something was wrong. So when you go to run the minified code, it would throw tons of errors on the site, but it didn't say anything in the actual minification execution. But I will say, part of that project was upgrading to the latest version of Laravel Mix and Webpack. And I am not in any way exaggerating. It cut my compile time for npm run develop from 45-ish minutes down to minutes.
Minutes?
Down to under 10 seconds.
Are you compiling? Dude,
wait, 45 minutes to 10
that
seconds?
don't compile that long. Holy
Something
crap.
was wrong in how Laravel Mix... something was...
Not our stuff. It wasn't our stuff.
Yeah,
it
something
was something in Laravel Mix.
Something was wrong in Laravel
something
Mix
was
where
wrong.
it was loading all of the JavaScript that you were trying to process into memory all at once, instead of processing, one file at a time like you were telling it to do. And so with everything completely loaded, every time it tried to do something, it had to check references for, 300 files, and that reference checking was causing the thing to completely bog down. I don't know what they fixed. I don't know what package in NPM fixed it. But 10 seconds instead of 45 minutes is a pretty awesome change.
So I think on our last show, as a matter of fact, was after we had launched Argus.to, and I had mentioned that we had an issue with our little support bot we built, and it not positioning correctly in production. And I had figured out that it had something to do with the minification process. And so to correct it at that time is I started running npm run dev in production and not minifying, which took care of it. And I got a ton of feedback after the show. This is what I love about doing the podcast is I can throw out any bizarre problem I have, and I can get so many people responding to me on Twitter with what the solution is. Like typically the next day. I think I had 2 or 3 solutions the next day, and they all were dead on. It was the minification process. It was the I think it was actually the minification of JavaScript, because we had a long discussion about whether it was JavaScript or CSS, and this was a case where the JavaScript was creating the CSS, so it was actually in the JavaScript that was causing it. And they just said, hey, when you do your minification, you have to exclude certain things, certain paths. And with the help of some people who listen to the show, I figured it out, and the next day I pushed it to production, and run prod just works just fine. It's fascinating how much crap people know out there. I mean, it just amazes me. It's and the fact that they're willing to help people out is just awesome. I'm a much better programmer because I ramble on the show.
I'm constantly embarrassed by how much more people know than me.
Oh yeah, I used to be that way. I don't even give a shit anymore. I'm like, yeah, just somebody tell me the right way of doing this because I don't know.
Excuse me, Lazy Web on Twitter. I need help with this stupid thing that I can't figure out. And oh, look, there's an answer. Almost before I finish typing.
Yeah. Yeah, so thanks to everybody who contributed to that. I do appreciate it. And I think everybody who gave me a response to that, I think you all gave me the same response, and you all were correct. I just had to exclude the path on the build.
Use deodorant.
Of course, I had to figure out how to do that, which, again, we're kind of getting into JavaScript stuff, but I figured it out. It works.
Well,
I'm happy you did, because that means I didn't have to.
I have some interesting developer stuff if you guys want to hear it.
I got developer stuff too. I'm not done, but go ahead. What do you got?
Alphabet. The parent company of Google, if you didn't know, is called Alphabet.
Hope, I'm going to stop you right there. We cannot have a conversation about this. This directly impacts John and I's business, or has the potential to directly impact John and I's business.
Unions are in everyone's favor. Hold on, let me just mute Eric here. Alphabet has established the first global tech union. Internally, they are now unionizing as software developers. And somehow the news cycle only covered this for like 30 minutes, and then I think something else happened. I don't know which thing it was over the last 3 weeks.
I can't think of what it was. Yeah, not that important.
And this is something that a lot of people have been talking about for a long time. Is how do you unionize what is normally considered a very independent area of work? Tech workers are very independent. They're very solitary at times, and getting them together to establish a union is difficult. But the Alphabet Workers Union is attempting to actually achieve that. So good on them. Unfortunately, it's easy to fire or find a replacement programmer pretty quickly.
Yeah, but when you have a big company, I think trying to go around the union becomes much more difficult, right? Isn't that the whole point?
Right. It's because Alphabet is so big, it's going to be difficult for them to actually circumvent any kind of union activity.
I hope our employees don't unionize. Man, that'd be awkward.
We just fire all of them. Wait, you can't say that. I'm pretty sure that's illegal to say.
You guys, I know, Eric, you're constantly...
That was said in jest. It wasn't realistic. We're not really going to do that.
Eric, you're constantly...
Not like I'm asking you to storm the Capitol building or anything. Just calm the hell
Wait,
down.
where's my beep button? You can't say...
You just flip it.
Yeah, I hit the wrong button. Eric, you're constantly experimenting with different technologies and
drugs. Yeah, technology.
Outdated things like Vim.
Screw you.
Are you running Netscape Communicator?
I didn't know Netscape Communicator was still a thing there, Thomas.
It's actually it's the recommended web browser for the Brexit agreement.
What?
Yeah.
How?
They talk about MIME functionality and recommend using something like Outlook or Netscape Communicator, and they do require that secure communications be encrypted with SHA-1 hashes.
SHA-1?
SHA-1. The one is for how many minutes it takes to break SHA-1.
they're going to be super successful as a country. I'm pretty sure. That's,
how do you still have that in your like support docs? Like,
not the support docs.
That's
This is
crazy.
actually part of the Brexit, the post-Brexit trade agreement.
what? Wait. What?
Yeah, the negotiations between the European Union and the United Kingdom. It appears they just sort of threw together a document on how to do.
just do some copy and pasting.
Right, this is like a copy paste job of like, hey, do we have a treaty that we used to use for communications on the internet? And they were like, yeah, we wrote one in like '92. Like, yeah, just throw that part in there so we know that communication is secured.
Oh, well, there you go, Thomas. You left out the fact that they're very specific about the version. It has to be Netscape Communicator 4 or above.
Yeah.
So, come on, give them some credit.
They got to
It's
be
not
up
like
to,
they're saying Netscape
12,
2.
12 or 15 at this point, right?
There's something like that.
If they were a thing, maybe.
Yeah. But to give you an understanding of what this kind of legal agreement between countries looks like, it is 1,256 pages, and the Netscape part in question is on page 932. It
Sounds like any other U.S. document that goes through the Congress, where it's like, blah 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 blah. We're gonna send $1,000 here and $1 million over here and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, don't forget we're gonna send $1 billion over to this other place.
Well, that was the nice thing with the government spending bill that passed, is that nothing nefarious could possibly have snuck into it because it was an 11th hour vote and no one got to read it. In other news,
Like every other vote.
the Case Act passed as part of the felony, or as part of the U.S. defense spending bill. Do you guys know what?
Thomas, was it? No, I don't. But Thomas, was it you that shared that in 2 years it'll be interesting to see how many Republicans want felons to be eligible
Yes.
to vote? Okay, that was you.
Yeah, apropos of nothing.
I thought that was funny. That was funny.
Yeah, the spending bill that Congress passed in December after we stopped recording was 5,593 pages, and the legislators did not get it until the night they were to vote on it.
That happened with the previous spending bill before the whole Paycheck Protection Program, right? Where there was stuff written in the margins. It's just a complete mess.
Yeah, well, in this case, the stuff written in the margins was the Case Act, which added a felony punishment for illegally streaming content on the internet.
Jesus. I hope they don't charge us for like streaming bad podcasts. We might be in trouble.
No, that's past whatever there is past felony. Whatever we put out is yeah.
Okay.
The Copyright Alternative in Small Claims Enforcement Act allows copyright holders to sue people who violate their perceived copyright ownership in small claims courts, and the maximum damage is $30,000 per case. And this includes infringers such as people who repost memes that have copyrighted content.
Really?
Yeah. And it's the intention is that people who are independent business people, like photographers and songwriters, can take a person to small claims court for $30,000 in damage, without having to go through the legal process of filing a federal claim. So, conceptually, if you draw something and someone puts it on a T-shirt, you can sue them, pretty quickly instead of filing a federal claim against them, copyright claim against them. Unfortunately, this is the exact same type of system that's being abused currently on YouTube for DMCA takedowns and things like that, and would easily allow people to automate the system of suing random people on the internet in small claims court by the thousands.
It seems like there's got to be a way to limit bills
Seems
that are
like
passed. These 5,000 pages is ridiculous. Each bill should be like very focused, kind of like my object in a PHP class should be very focused and do one thing. Why is it got to do 1,000 different things? And it just drives me nuts.
Well, in addition to the Case Act, there was also part of the original SOPA and PIPA bills, if you remember those from a couple years ago. The felony streaming proposal, which is very poorly worded and seems to imply that streaming service providers are responsible for the content being streamed and are liable for illegal content being streamed on their site. But many people are concerned that it could be poorly interpreted to mean that people who are watching streams are committing a felony, or people that are hosting streams are committing a felony. And right now it's not really clear what's going to happen, but yeah, these two things just were snuck into the funding bill to keep the government running. So now these two things just are law, not up to public discussion in any way.
Oh, fun.
Okay, can I bring it back to PHP a little
Sure.
bit? Thomas,
Please.
I actually want to. I would like your opinion on this, John. I'm gonna call you to the mat on this, and I want to thank everybody who follows me on Twitter and participated in my poll, because this all
Sounds
comes
gross,
together.
but go on.
John and I have very different work schedules, and I understand that. I mean, he's a family man; he's got young children, so I will queue up questions for him over the weekend or over the night. And I'm going to tell you, one of my biggest pet peeves with having John as a business partner is that he will just totally not respond to questions. Like, it will go weeks, and I'm like, hey, I never got feedback on this. And John, I never got feedback on this. But I want
It's way too small.
your opinion, Thomas.
It's comfortably small.
I was looking at. I've been interested in these services out there that offer storage for your .env files. It allows you to share .env files with developers, with other people.
So you're talking things like EN Vault.
No sooner was I looking at that than a story came across Laravel News about EN Vault. I'm like, wow, this looks super simple to install. So I install it, I configure it, I tweak it, I throw up some .env files. I send John this nice little message of, hey, what are your opinions of this? Here are my concerns, blah, blah, blah. Nothing. I'm like, hey, you have an account on this. All you have to do is type in your email address and it'll send you a password. I just looked at the logs. Nope, didn't even look at it. Doesn't care.
When did you send this to me? What are you talking about?
Just December 31st,
You send me
sir.
too much. What?
December 31st.
You send me too.
I send you too much what?
Stuff.
Too
You
much?
send me
Too much what?
Too much.
Too much love.
You said, when?
Oh my
where,
gosh.
what?
December 31st, buddy. First message.
I'm wondering if you have
And I
any
go-
opinion on this package. It's because it's Laravel specific. No, I don't have any specific.
No, it's not
I don't have any
Laravel
opinion.
specific. It has nothing to do with Laravel. I mean,
Laravel-news slash
it's built
EN Vault.
with Laravel, but it's to host the .env files.
I have no opinion because it's about Laravel.
It's about Thomas. Give me
So,
some good feedback.
It's
So
built
for the
on
record-
Laravel.
Hold on, for the record. Before we go any further, I did do a Twitter poll on this, and I asked people. I said, for my developer friends out there who have to deal with multiple .env files and multiple environments with multiple developers, what's your opinion on these hosting services? And I gave 4 kind of responses. I say flawed security workflow, which I feel it is to a degree, worth the risk, unneeded overhead.
Wait, I wasn't working December 31st. Or the 1st.
Have you not worked since?
Or the 2nd?
Have you not worked since?
You've sent me
Have you seen what's happening?
100 messages since then.
Everybody, the majority of people responded, 52.9% of the people responded with it's unneeded overhead. And where I can see that opinion, which is why I put it in there, I don't necessarily agree with it because of our particular situation where we're working with a lot of developers. And I've had the headache of having to say, oh yeah, we forgot to add this, this configuration to the example file. Here it is. Here's the key you need, blah, blah, blah. I am so tired of having to do that.
In one of these services too, aren't you?
Nope, you're absolutely not. Because you put everything in the service and you tell the developers, okay, here's the .env file for this application in this environment. So your local environment, your for argus.to, here's the .env file you use. And they just slurp it in and they're off and running. I like that aspect of it, but I have major security concerns around it. And Thomas, I never let you finish your thought. I apologize.
This is an onion of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Problem 1. So EN Vault, the one that we were just talking about, is a self-hosted solution built on Laravel, and you run it on your own server. They have guides for installing it through Forge or Vapor, but that means that if your internal system is compromised, then that system is compromised as well.
Actually, not exactly, because that was my initial concern, and everything's encrypted at rest. So you
encrypted with a key that's stored on the same server.
I say yes, it's compromised in the fact that if the developer realizes, or the cracker. Apologize, my hacker friends
That's a hacker
there.
one.
I am a hacker.
That's a hacker issue.
Cracker, if a cracker happens to illegally get access to your server and get the data and realize what they have, and still has access to the server to get the key, get the code. Well, they don't need the code; they can get the code anywhere, but they would have to get your key to decrypt it. Yes, there are some hoops they can jump through and decrypt it, but at rest, just in general, it's encrypted. So that is a thing.
I'll tell you this. For issuing a new build of Windows, Microsoft has 3 or 4 people who have a key to the room where the server is, that is the only server that holds the certificate that can sign an official Windows build. And only these people can perform that action. And only these people have these security keys, which are the highest level security keys you can get. Microsoft deploys these builds to government servers autonomously. They have the security concept down pat. And it has been compromised to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
SolarWinds has shown us that anything can be compromised. Theoretically, the Ukrainian company that runs PHP Storm can be compromised.
I agree there are security concerns. You don't have to keep going on about this. I agree that there are security concerns around.
So
if you're telling me you wouldn't use this because of that, I understand.
I wouldn't use this because there are other solutions that are just a login and a password that work just as well.
This is not a login and password. This is a email address, and it sends you a one-time password. So you have to have access to that email address. So you have to have an account on the system with your email address. So somebody would have to compromise John's email, know that to go to the site to request it. So again, I completely understand their security concerns, but that's actually one step they did take to log in.
That sounds less secure than what I normally do with 2FA and GitHub.
Is your answer you wouldn't do it because of security concerns? Just say yes.
I wouldn't do it because I don't feel like it adds security. And actually, what you...
No, it definitely doesn't add... Well, it could... It depends on your argument. But yes, in general, it doesn't add security.
So then what good is it?
Now, where I'd say it does add security, because it allows me as a CTO to rotate keys in my .env file and just tell the developers, hey, you have to pull down the env file again. We have new keys without having...
How is that any different than keeping it stored in S3 and saying, hey, you have to pull a new S3 key or a new S3.env file?
It's not different. It could be argued that it's more secure than S3, but it's not different. I mean, we could do it. Some people do it in Git. That's the thing. It's like there are a lot of solutions out there. The one I liked about this is that it allowed a central location. I can go in there and change the stuff. I can actually give somebody, well, in general, you give people access to pull it down without giving them the ability to even log into the site. So they don't even have access to log in. They just have a command to pull down.
It's a central location until someone gets too drunk and leaves their laptop at an airport.
But that's the case with any .env file.
Right. I think the .env file concept is bad on its own, and all of these attempts at solutions are trying to fix a problem that they made.
I guess my other question, the whole .env is supposed to be unique per developer and then one for production. So there shouldn't be one that you make changes for production to and then your developers download a copy of it.
Well, that holds up until you start using external services. And that's what I learned because I actually work with developers, John. I don't just sit there and boss people around.
Do you want me to mute him? I can still mute him.
And I learned that when we implement external services like Mailgun, Mailgun's a bad one because we actually use Mailhog locally. But the one we use for SMS, not Vonage anymore.
Twilio?
Nexmo. Yeah. Do we use Twilio? Is that it? Yeah. Anyways, these services, and Stripe is another example, asking developers to go through and create developer Stripe accounts and have their own sandbox. I create a sandbox for Diego Dev, and I can share those keys in a .env file with all the other developers. So yes, you do have a valid argument in the sense of like everybody's like has their own local database and things like that. But for shared services, that's why I do it.
So if you're using this for a development env file, that's different than a production env file to me. I'm hoping that you don't have keys in a developer's env file that are scary, which isn't always the case because I just saw it happen recently with Twilio credentials got leaked and somebody bought numbers or registered numbers and then sent out a bunch of spam SMS messages because they got a hold of keys somewhere and it's still not clear where those came from.
But that doesn't change, right? I mean, that to Thomas's point, the security around your .env file on your developers' machines who are coding in a bar and fall asleep because they've had one too many Lagavulins. Not saying that it's happened to me, just saying in general, that still exists. This is strictly talking about centralized or implementing a system to allow your developers to get current keys for the environments that they need to develop in, and also a central location, because we've had this happen before, a central location to manage .env files for deployments. So you can actually include the command I shared with you in Slack. You can actually include that command in a deployment script. So you can say, hey, when you do a deployment, make sure you pull down a current version of the .env file so you have all the current keys.
It's interesting. So we've done it multiple different ways, right? We've used a service through Laravel that manages it. I've seen it done through S3, and now you're talking about something like Ian Vault. What's the argument that makes Ian Vault more secure? It's that it's hosted on your own machines, not on a third-party service?
I don't think that makes it any more secure. The thing that makes it more secure, from my perspective, is just the fact that it's a central location. So I as the CTO, you as the CEO, can have one place to see where all the .env files that are being used by everybody in every environment are stored at. If you have a question about any of them, you can look at them. If you need to change any of them, you can change them right there. You don't have to remember, oh, with this application, we have to go to Envoyer. Oh, this application, we go to Forge. Oh, this application, that one's stored on S3. It's all over the map right now. So it's just, that's where that centralized location kind of comes into play. Say, okay,
but it's centralized on our own machines, right?
Yes. I mean,
it's not a third-party service. You installed this, you're running it. So now it's as secure as the code that's there.
And that's also why it has the URL it has. It has one of our non-commercial URLs that we use internally.
But you just unknowingly told the classic XKCD joke, which is we have 5 standards and all of them disagree. We should write a new standard that makes all of them agree. Now we have 6 standards.
No.
I mean, if you have them on S3 and you have them in GitHub and you have them in...
No, he's saying you move them from there. For our purposes, we move them from S3. We're no longer having application A going to S3, application B going to
right. But
Forge,
if you're gonna move them all anyways, just move them all to S3.
I think S3 is the least, the least secure.
I disagree. I think what you described, that all you need is the access to an email address, and now you have all of the access you want. You don't need like a separate password or 2FA.
If you lose your access to your email address, you've lost access to your bank account.
Nope.
So many
bank account. My bank account is 2FA with my thumbprint.
2FA.
Again, you're hung up on the security aspect, Thomas. I am acknowledging their security.
But the security aspect is
the
only aspect.
Fundamental workflow.
No, I disagree. I'm coming around to where Eric's at.
Fine.
You're going to have the security concerns no matter where you're at. You can probably add 2FA to this application to where you need
I actually mentioned one thing. If we did go with the solution, I mentioned in my message to you one thing I'd like to add. I'll say it here on the show. So eVault, anybody can go to eVault right now. It's an open source project in free to
also
install.
not secure.
eVault.
Open source isn't secure either.
Okay, appreciate that. eVault, the current implementation uses incrementing integers for records. So the thing I mentioned to John, I'm like, if we go with the solution, I'm going to look at the code base and see how difficult it would be to implement UUIDs, because that integer actually factors into the URL you have to call to pull down
the
nasty
file.
So I'm like, yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, well, if somebody realizes it, they can just do brute force attacks against each integer. So I want to look at the code base and look at replacing that with UUIDs. And obviously, if it's something I can commit back to the project, I will. But if it's something I can't, we'd look to implement this. I'll still look at implementing it with the UUIDs myself. But that's just me. I'm a UUID maniac. If you listen to the show at all,
which is great until you start talking to people that know databases, and they're like, "Yeah, that's not a good idea."
Yeah,
I hate people that really know their database tech, and when they start talking about key space and what's in memory and what's not, and why UUIDs are bad, or a UUID version 4 versus a time-based UUID.
Oh yeah,
where it's still incremental. The performance issues that those different things have is just mind-boggling.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know at what scale you're worrying about that.
We hired a third-party developer who implemented both UUIDs and UIDs as API variables.
What's a UID?
It's also a UUID. It means
so you have two UUIDs?
No, we have two different portions of the code that reference UUIDs by different names.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's painful.
Yeah.
Daryl, yes, Daryl in chat says, "Why don't you just put them in 1Password?" Yeah, that's a legit approach. The issue with that approach, and I speak from experience, is that things like 1Password, things like LastPass, have a cost to it, and where I'm okay with that cost for our developers, especially our employees. We'll use, from time to time, outsourced developers, or we'll work with another development company who are actually using us and sharing env files that way just doesn't work out for us. So we actually have 1Password internally.
Yeah, we use the services where the thing that Eric keeps bringing up is it's a one-liner that you can add to a shell script to automatically download it. You could actually make this part of your post whatever,
your
one of
build
your
pipeline.
Git hooks. Your post checkout. I mean, not even your pipeline, just part of your Git hooks. You're like, I'm checking out a branch, and have it automatically go and grab an env file that could be correct, and it's especially if you include in there some sort of variable.
That's a great idea, John.
What you're checking out on this branch, I need, a specific version of the env file, just kind of like a composer.lock file. That way, you're checking out the proper env.
Wow, you blew my mind.
Well, I've got one last thing that's going to make Eric very excited.
I got something for you, Thomas. Okay, I'm already excited.
Have you heard about tabfs?
Only from your Trello board.
I tried to read this article. I'm like, what the? It's bookmarks. Yeah. What the fuck is this in here for? What? Please explain to me why you put tabfs. I'm having a hardcore discussion about PHP development, and you want to go off about tabfs. This better be good.
How would you like to write a browser plugin in PHP?
I don't. I do.
tabfs.
You should be a Republican, John.
tabfs is a browser plugin for Chrome and somewhat for Firefox, they say, that takes all of your open tabs and builds them out as a file structure on your local file system.
Again, I don't see
so
why
there would be
a
folder in your, let's say, your home directory called tabs. And in that folder, there would be another folder for each tab. And in that folder...
Please get to the point.
In that folder, there will be a text file. There will be a text file that contains the HTML of that tab, a text file that contains the title, a text file with the URL, and you can write a program that can read all of these files and know exactly what's going on in your browser, as well as edit those files, which will be reflected in your browser in real time.
Based on the number of tabs in Windows I have, my computer would crash.
I still don't understand what the benefit of that. So, for the record, I have folders on my browser currently for like our weekly Diego Dev developer meetings, where I do a right click on it. I say open all bookmarks in the new window, and boom, they open up. Explain to me what's different here. I don't get it. I don't care. I still don't care yet, and I'm about to fire you.
Let's say you had a flashy little screen device that you always had scrolling on your computer. or something like that. Or let's say you had a text file that was feeding into your OBS stream, so it had a list of all the Patreons who are currently active. You could write a script that pulled the open Patreon tab and got all the current Patreons. Or you could write a script that says, hey...
There are APIs
yeah,
for Patreon, by the way.
You could write a script...
But I think the point is, you could leave a browser tab open and then have a script that's constantly scanning these files for changes and keep things up to date.
Or
it seems like it's an edge case I'm so not interested in.
You could close all of the tabs that contain the title Stack Overflow. Or you could have a script that goes in and changes all of the images on your web to WebP
If you
format.
want to learn more about TabFS,
I can't believe you weren't completely in love with this thing. Look at the examples.
I have no interest in this.
Pull up the examples.
I tried, man. I looked at them. I have no interest in this. I don't understand.
You can close. Wait. You can close a tab just by deleting a directory.
You can anything you could do with a browser extension, you could do with this, but across the board for all of the currently open tabs.
Chat, please help me out. If you're interested in this at all, please somebody post to chat that you want Thomas to keep speaking because he's killing me.
I'm interested. It's interesting. It is interesting
because the browser is reading from the file that's stored locally. You could open up an active page in PHP Storm and just start editing it in real time as if you were using the developer console in Chrome, but you're actually using PHP Storm. You have all the functionality and tools of PHP Storm.
Wait, so if I know how to write these files, it will automatically open a tab for me?
It has a ton of functionality. If you create a directory that has a title...
That is interesting.
You could create your own if this then that, so that when you do something, it tracks it with Toggle or whatever the one you guys use now is. You say
is this a security? If somebody gets access to my system and they have access to this file system, will they have access to all my cookies and possibly hack all my services?
You actually have a question, Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Roger, I will be banning you for not agreeing with me.
This thing is the potential for this thing is so cool. I can't believe you don't appreciate it. What do you have for me? You said you had something for me. I don't even want to talk to you anymore.
Sound like my kids. Mommy, Daddy, will you stop arguing, please?
Roger, do you not use Chrome or Firefox? Any of those things?
No, he's in England.
So Roger says that I have hundreds of lose every new phone. Yeah, I use both Firefox and I mean, as long as you use the same browser for your phone and your system, it works out. That's me, but I don't know if you think it's better to have text files on your computer. If you honestly feel like that's a better solution, who might argue with you? Thomas, I asked you a question. I suggested a book to you, and in our current political climate, I think I have something that's going to blow your mind because I finished that book. So I mentioned on the show sometime back how early on in my IT career, I became a fan of the Cult of the Dead Cow. Who was one of the first hacker groups out there who became kind of infamous. Like they were like one of the first big ones. I recently had stumbled across a book that got published called The Cult of the Dead Cows, which is a history of that hacker group. And oh my God, was my mind blown. First thing, I didn't realize how involved they were. What's going on here? What's happening? You're a bastard. I do hate you on so many levels. And unfortunately, that's an improvement. See, here's the thing. The audio podcast people, they're not going to know what you're doing. I'm not going to say what you're doing. Well, whatever. If you're listening to the audio podcast and you want to know what Thomas is doing right now, you have to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's all I'm going to say. I'll leave this in the show. I'll leave it in there. Not going to say anything. Whatever. Anyways, how much the Cult of the Dead Cow have been involved with so many aspects of the just tech in general. I mean, the internet, IT, and we have this conversation all the time about the ethics and the morality around our profession, and how much of that translated from the Cult of the Dead Cow. And before I go on, because I don't think you're going to believe this last piece. Mm-hmm. Are you interested in reading this book, Thomas?
I am. I got involved with the CDC in '91 for the first time. So, I mean, I've been aware of their work for a long time, but something like a book that covers their their full history is far more well researched than me when I was 13.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe how eye-opening it was. And I couldn't believe how important the ethics and morality around our profession was to what they did. And it really kind of re-inspired me on those topics. But how much would it blow your mind to know we almost had a CDC member as president of the United States?
That was Romney?
Nope, not Romney.
Oh, I can't remember who it was.
That would be weird if that was Romney. You're close. I mean,
as not president, because I know that the guy running for senator in Texas was a CDC. Oh no, he was running for president. That's right. That was.
You're right.
Beto O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke was a CDC member,
quite active one actually as well.
They said that in the audiobook. I was listening to the audiobook. I'm like, the moment they said it, I'm like, wait a minute, this whole book is bullshit. Like, this was a whole troll. Like, this book was a troll. He was not a CDC member. And
wait. Are we talking about the Center for Disease
Control? The Cult of the Dead Cow. So, for people who don't know, the Cult of the Dead Cow was a.
I was so confused there for a minute. I realized it before I asked the question, but because I was so confused, I thought I had to ask.
I didn't want to put it on my Trello board because I didn't want to give away. John, I just posted it if you're interested in Slack.
The Cult of the Dead Cow is one of the oldest hacking groups out there. The idea of getting together as a group of hackers instead of working independently was basically their idea.
So much more than a hacking group. Yeah, there's so much more than that.
Well, so this was also from comes from the era where hacking did not mean computer hacking. Hacking meant everything that was taking its original form and modifying it to fit your intentions. So, the term originally comes from people who built railroad trains in their basements. You had to crawl underneath these tables to get to the area where the train had broken, or you wanted to place a new little sign or whatever, and that was called hacking. It was going underneath the system to put something in place. So CDC is an activist hacking group that has been involved in a huge number of gray hat, white hat, black hat things in history.
Yeah. So for the record, if this sort of stuff interests you, Cult of the Dead Cow, I think that's actually the name of the book, is Cult of the Dead Cow, is a fantastic read. I mean, I just purchased it because I do the audiobooks, and I buy like a block of credits, and my credits were getting ready to expire expire. So I'm like, I just need to start grabbing some books here. I'm kind of caught on the dead cow. I'm not really sure how that could be an interesting book, but I'll go ahead and grab it. And man, am I glad I grabbed it. Check it out, Cult of the Dead Cow. I think it's a fairly current book because it talks about the Trump presidency, the Russia hacks, the people involved with the Russia hacks. It really gives you an understanding. The DNC email one, a few other things. So it gets pretty current in time. And I was very pleased and just absolutely blown away with how much CDC members have been in the backgrounds working on different aspects.
It was released 1.5 years ago. And,
there you go.
And I just picked it up.
There you go. You won't be disappointed. I don't think you would be disappointed, but I don't know. I'm weird. I like weird things.
Appropriately enough, I'll look it up on Usenet, see if I can get it.
I don't think they will be upset if you happen to get it for free, Thomas. It seems to kind of be their thing. But and again, the ethics that they discuss and the motivations behind the things that they do was just very, very encouraging to hear. I enjoyed listening to it. Of course, they go into open source. They talk about why open source was important and all this other stuff. Now, along those same lines, not implying that this person is a CDC member, because I would not do that. Oh, not that it's a bad thing. I'm not implying CDC member. I wish I was a CDC member. I am nowhere near able to be a CDC member. But anyways, specifically about open source, we are in a time here in our country, here in the US of A, of no matter how painful
as of recording,
a transition of power. A transition of power, and the new president who is coming in has been, over the last couple of weeks, assigning cabinet members and assigning people to his.
Yeah, I didn't hear about this till I saw it on your Trello board.
How exciting!
Super exciting.
So the open source developer and manager David Recorden, is that how you would say that last name? Recorden, maybe. He's named as the White House Director of Technology. Now, this guy is not just some open source developer who worked out of his mother's basement and came up with something. This guy is like hardcore. I mean, he was at Facebook. I think that's where he's at now. I think he's currently at Facebook. He's leading the open source initiatives and projects at Facebook. This guy was
one of the open ideas in the picture that they shared.
I am praying to God that is a White House function and he's wearing a t-shirt, a geek t-shirt. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see a picture of like the White House and then this guy, this neckbeard wearing some sort of t-shirt, walking around the
I love robots.
That's what I want to see.
It's pulled from his LinkedIn profile.
But it's not only that this guy's a geek. Obviously, with his position, he's going to be a geek. But he's an open source developer who does a bunch of stuff. I think it was I just closed the article. OpenID, OAuth stuff. I am so excited by this. They even, in the article that I'll post in our show notes, they even talk about PHP. It says, what does it say here? He also led efforts on Cassandra, the Apache open source distribution database management system, Hip Hop, a PHP and C++ source code translator. So this guy's one of us, man. He is one of us. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. This is very exciting news to me, and I just wanted to share it. There. I'm almost out of beer.
So we can get him to head up the.
What you're trying to say,
FDA.
What you're trying to say is the president is assigning professionals to the cabinet.
People who are actually in the field who know
we're not getting political.
Yes.
Not getting political here.
Your concept. Well, we got to get a little political.
Well,
before we go, I mean, come on, it's pertinent. What was all that noise about JetBrains? Unfortunately, there was a coup in the process, so it might have fallen through a few cracks. But while all that stuff was happening, a tweet went out saying that JetBrains, the company behind PHP Storm, which is the IDE editors that weak developers like John and Thomas use, who don't want to use Vim. I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. John and Thomas use PHP Storm because they're weak developers. Does that make more sense? Yes. Okay. Just kidding, guys. Come on, a little smile, a little something. Anyways, a story came about that somehow they were involved with the Russia hacks. What? Did anybody read this?
So I've seen the entire article, even though it's behind a paywall. I haven't read the whole thing. I have access to it, but it's not with PHP Storm. It's within TeamCity, which I think has plugins that are available to it that may have been susceptible. So I don't think it's a JetBrains specific issue. The headlines was very sensational.
Yeah, I think
to make you think.
You think a little bit?
I believe that TeamCity, which is a JetBrains product, I think SolarWinds implementation of TeamCity was compromised as part of the attack. TeamCity is a scripting system for doing automated testing, which seems like a vector that they would use for inserting a backdoor. So TeamCity itself...
18,000 customers.
Yes.
When you compare that to some of the other hacks that we've heard about recently, 18,000, while it's a big number, is very small on this.
Well, so from the response...
And hold on. Into the defense of Thomas and John of the sensationalization of the story, the tweet that went out said exclusive, JetBrains, an obscure software company founded in Russia and based in the Czech Republic, is being investigated for playing a role in the Russia hack. It's like they couldn't have framed that any better. Obscure software company founded in Russia, based in the Czech Republic. Like, you've heard both those countries in negative ways recently, and this company is related to both.
Well, and I loved the replies on that whole thread because the top replies were like, 70% of the internet runs on JetBrains. It's not an obscure company just because you haven't heard of it. Like, Amazon AWS, an obscure hosting service run by Amazon. No, dude. No. Now, the whole thing is it's a bizarre hit piece, and the CEO came out and basically said, like, listen, nothing on our end was compromised. Compromised software didn't come from us. It was their implementation of one of our pieces of software that was compromised by a third party and had nothing to do with us. So fuck off.
Really, I didn't see that tweet come out, but yeah, they did respond. All this will be in the show notes, but yeah, I thought that was a valid response. But yes, I love how much they tried to play it up.
All right, the last bit of PHP. Friend of the show, Andy Snow, spent 2 hours today debugging an issue. If anyone runs into this, I'm sorry. Integer 0 equals a string 0. In PHP, that's true,
Double
right?
equals, yes.
Yeah, double equals. We're only talking about double equals here.
PHP 8, though. PHP 8, it's not true, I don't think.
Don't know about that.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And null double equals integer 0 is true. But null double equals string 0 is not true.
It's false. Yep. That is correct.
That let him down 2 hours of wasted time debugging an issue today because I guess there was an if looking for a string 0 instead of an integer 0 and null was returned or vice versa. And
I'm always tentative about it, but I actually have an inspection in PHP Storm that says, hey, you're using double equals. Don't.
Oh, yeah. I change it all the time, everywhere I can. It's like if you're comparing a variable to a string, triple equals is always valid, no matter what. When you're integers, I am often changing it to triple equals and making sure that I am casting the integer if I think it's supposed to be one. Because I don't know if it's going to be null or empty string or 0 or a string. But I prefer triple equals as much as possible.
Yeah, me too. And yep.
But we're dealing with code that's now 15 plus years old and tracking down an obscure bug, and that's what he ran into and wasted.
We're getting into the territory of enums with that conversation, and I'm going to save that for next week because there is an RFC.
Oh, I wanted to talk about that.
I'm glad we didn't get to it this week because I need to do a little more reading on it. But next week we will cover enums.
Stoneburner released an open source library.
Well, now it's going to be a standard in PHP.
Great.
So we'll get into that. I have one last did you know for this episode.
No.
Please tell me it's the teapot.
HTTP error code 418.
I love this one.
I am a teapot.
I'm a little teapot.
It always has been.
Share it. So share it on the screen.
Google.com/teapot. This is Google's little example page of what a teapot error code is.
If you're listening to audio stream, you want to join into our live stream or watch our YouTube because you miss all this awesomeness. This is fantastic.
So the use of this error code is simply to say I am not a service that is expected to return a result. So if you hit something that gives you a 418 error, it's trying to tell you I am a microwave or I am an oven. And the naming convention they decided on for this was I'm a teapot. That is the official naming convention.
Wait, I'm very confused by that. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Stove and oven and microwave?
If you hit a web service that is not intended to provide a web service, it should return the 418 code.
Mm-hmm.
So you're hitting a web service that's not a web service. I'm confused on that.
So if for some reason...
Thanks for clearing that up.
If for some reason your teapot was running a web server but provided no information and did not accept any kind of information, then it would return the 418 request.
Let me fit one more Argus.to.
But you haven't seen the best part.
Interested.
If you go to google.com/teapot, you can tip it over and pour it out.
No, you can't.
If you do it on your mobile phone, it will actually use the motion detection to control the tipping behavior. Google is adorable.
I need this. I need this so bad. So this relates because one of the things I did over the holiday is I updated all the error pages for Argus.to. So if you go to Argus.to and type in some random number, you'll see it. But that's what I did. I'm like, these error pages are horrible. I want something a little bit more creative. I mean, it's nothing fancy. It's probably not worth you checking out. But if you want to check it out, feel free to check it out. But yeah, I'm like, error pages are so often overlooked. So I saw this teapot one. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And now that I know you can actually interact with it, I want this so bad.
I like GitHubs where it does that forced perspective. So as you move your mouse, the two foreground and background kind of move separately.
Yeah, I do like that.
And it's on Luke Skywalker's home planet.
Oh yeah. I think I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, he has the land speeder right there and everything. Yeah, I do like that too, John. That's a good example. Yeah. Cool.
What good work doing it on Argus.to if you're looking for a new service.
Very simple cron monitoring service. You don't have to install any software on your local machine. I'm just going to put that out there. Yeah. So that's it. We're going to wrap it up. We've been talking entirely too long. But I will say, if you're listening to the audio podcast, I'm going to give you a sales pitch one more time to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're into this sort of thing. Although we're going to hang up, there are certain gags and things that you'll see in the stream, like Thomas doing certain layovers, or the chat that's happening that we're responding to, you actually see in the stream.
Or the list of Patreons.
Or the list of Patreons that Thomas should be displaying. But most importantly, we do some pre-show and after-show conversations that totally get cut from the audio stream. So, I mean, they can sometimes be very informative, very intense. They're typically not things that are related to coding or anything like that. It's just us bitching or setting up or taking down or blah blah blah. So, come on, what? You have nothing better to do. I mean, we're not in the best time slot for the U.S. people to watch us live. So I can appreciate you wanting to watch the stream later and later. And if you watch the stream, you actually get that before the audio podcast, because we don't edit the stream. We're like, we fucked up. We're just going to go ahead and send
all
that
the ugly
out.
is there.
We'll edit the... Yeah, that's the real PHP ugly. So anyways, check us out, subscribe. We like it when you subscribe because we like to see the little... I got my little ticker. I moved my little ticker over to my desk now, so I can actually see the tick here. I think I can scroll. There you go. That's on air. Those are my Twitter. There you go. There's our YouTube followers. So we're at 195. So yeah, if you subscribe, I'll show you next week, and we'll be higher if nobody else.
If you had TabFS, you could put anything that's currently on your browser on that ticker.
Dear God. I'm very curious. I'm going to reread that TabFS article.
Yeah, I guarantee you're going to fall in love with it, because
every
time I looked closer at it, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Okay. I'll take your word for it, but not tonight. We're not going to talk about it anymore.
How about you do something cool with it and then tell us what you did with it next week?
Yeah, I'll do a little tutorial on how to exit Vim.
You can't do it. It's impossible.
You won't hear from me next week.
That's it. Episode 218, 2021, season.
Why are we still doing this?
We're still in season 1. Is in the can. We're done. I'm Eric.
I'm Tom.
John.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly. And that's for the audio podcast.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube.
God, I love this.
I was gonna say we could cut it off at that point.
Yeah, I love that song, man. Oh, who do we got? Honorable, I missed you. Have you been here all night? I mostly use a sledgehammer. What did I miss? What was that in response to?
Getting out of Vim.
Getting out of Vim. I use Vim every day. Buttery, I've been using Vim more and more. I'm kind of at a crossroads right now, but yeah, I always use Vim. I always use Vim key bindings no matter where I'm at, but I've been just using straight Vim. I moved to NeoVim. I have a new file navigator that I love. Yeah. Oh man, you're not a true programmer unless you buy a new PC, install Arch Linux, and rewrite your whole yeah. I was on, so I got to talk to what's his name, Matthew MWAP
McConaughey?
on
Really?
Twitter. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I talked to Matthew McConaughey today. I'm interviewing him for PHP Architect, and he's a Linux guy. He's been a Linux guy for a while. He uses Linux on a desktop, and I was telling him how back in the day I used to be such the distro hopper, and there's a distro out now that is based on Arch Linux. So Arch Linux is like the rolling release bleeding edge distro. It's challenging to install, but once you get it installed, everything is like cutting edge there. And there's actually a distro out there based on it. I forget what it's called. It starts with an M. I've been so tempted to install it, but I'm like not doing it. I'm like, nope. I got a System 76 machine specifically because I wanted to have support for the OS that I'm running and the machine. Yes.
Manjaro.
Manjaro, you're absolutely right, Buttery. I so badly want to install Manjaro. But no, I haven't done it yet. I'm still running Pop! OS. He's an Ubuntu person, which is what I was before I made the switch to Mac. And I've been tempted to go back. And Pop! OS is basically a version of Ubuntu. It's like Elementary OS, where it's Ubuntu, and they kind of put their own skins. Although I learned today, I guess there are things in Pop! OS that they don't release with their Pop! OS like theme. So Pop! OS itself is available for anybody to install. But there's also components of Pop! OS that you can install on top of other distros like Ubuntu. This is what Matt had. And he mentioned he was using the tile manager, which he was specifically using the Pop! OS tile manager, which I've been going back and forth on for a while. I don't particularly like the tile manager, but I love in Pop! OS, it has the stack feature where when you tile things, you can actually stack tiles, and I love that.
You still need to show that to me because
tiling.
I'm still not using it, and I'm still confused on it.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. Like I said, I use it, then I stop using it because it frustrates me, and then I'll use it again. But he happened to say, yeah, we don't actually have the stack in the Pop! OS, the component he uses. It just uses the tile manager that he uses on Ubuntu from Pop! OS doesn't do the stacking.
Do you use the feature where you can it's command control down or up to move like desktops?
Yeah, the desktops. Yeah, I do that. So I'll do that occasionally. A lot of times I'll put like I don't know. I'll put like my Spotify, or if I happen to be VNC to my Mac or something, I'll put that on another virtual desktop. But for the most part, I keep everything on because I have the dual monitor, so I'll just keep everything on one desktop. But I'll do it occasionally if there's like just something like I said, Spotify is the one I do it the most for. I'll just do a full screen Spotify and throw it on another virtual desktop.
You can stop Zencaster.
I do it with Steam. So like I come down here, I have Steam, but I like the fact that I can quickly go back up, grab another window that I'm like, if I'm talking to somebody on Slack, I can shift command and down and then like bring that window down with me.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Shift command and down drags the window with you?
Is it shift command and down?
So,
yeah,
we didn't.
Yeah, shift command down.
We didn't get to this on the podcast, but the Friday, one of the days in the last 2 weeks that we didn't record, I get up, sit down at my computer, and it's acting strange. I can't type anything, and it's acting like I'm holding down the super key or something. Turns out my keyboard was completely toast. So I ended up having to use my son's backup Elite Gaming keyboard. But now I have my own Elite Gaming keyboard to replace it.
Oh, God.
The Black Widow 3.
See it.
It's got it's got a button to pause whatever media is playing. It has a scroll bar for volume. It's got programmable RGB lights and macro keys, and she's pretty.
Yeah. So we what's the keyboard you're using, John? What was that one called? The DOS keyboard?
DOS. Yeah.
DAS.
I was a big fan of the DOS. Yeah, DOS keyboard. I enjoyed it a lot. The DOS keyboard was the first keyboard that made me realize how I've been selling myself short by not paying attention to my keyboards. I really like the DOS keyboard. I like the keys. It has that scrolling volume. It has the pause and all that. But I tell you what, I am still on my funky ass Kinesis, and I absolutely love this thing now. I've fallen in love with it. I do miss my scrolling volume, and I do miss my pause play button. But yeah, my Kinesis, I can't even. I posted on Twitter. We had our power go out, and I was still able to use my iPad because it's an iPad, so I didn't need power for like 6 hours, and it also had cellular service on it. I hooked my Kinesis up to my iPad because I knew I was going to be using it for a while, and I'm not even sorry for it. I mean, my Kinesis has changed my life, and I am so happy I have it. I'm so happy I have it. So yeah. But that keyboard, that key combination you just gave me, John, it works, and that's awesome, but it is a weird key combination on this Kinesis. Actually, it's not if I use my thumb there. Oh, yeah, that does work. You know, I might be using these virtual desktops more and more, John. That was cool. That's a good to know.
I do like it until I hit a different key combination that does a move on a virtual desktop that I'm not aware of. I forget what it is. Oh,
do you know
Command Shift K does? It's basically the same thing. I just didn't know it. It's like Command Shift K is like Command Shift Up. So I'm assuming.
Do you know
if
there's a way to? So the one thing the reason I keep
wait, stop. Command Shift and then your Vim move arrow keys is how you move windows around from.
Yes, I was telling you this. I told you this. No, it's Command Enter, and then
listen. What I just told you, Command for me, it's Command Shift and then my Vim arrow keys moves the windows from left to right, up and down.
Oh my freaking God.
I did not realize that until I just was talking to you about it.
Oh my God. That flipping of the monitors is life-changing. Holy crap, that is good to know.
Yeah.
Oh. So, do you know if there's a way when you have the virtual? So the one thing that bugs me about the virtual desktop. So what I was doing for a while is I would have a virtual desktop that would have my terminal full screen, which I like. Is there a way to reshuffle those virtual desktops? Because I would have a problem where the terminal wouldn't be the next one; it would be like the third one. I would always want it to be like the second one, so I'd have to start to reshuffle things around.
If you just hit Command, you get all your virtual desktops on the right. I'm assuming you can do you can drag and drop there, but I'm not sure what the order is.
You can drag and drop particular windows, but you can't drag the whole virtual desktop. It looks like.
Right.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
Are you okay,
that's
buddy?
kind of what I was doing.
Are you okay?
You seem
No,
pissed.
my dog was chewing on an Amazon box.
You're just breathing very heavy into that microphone there, kiddo.
I'm getting questions about my e-cigarettes.
I keep telling you that, Thomas. I hope there are questions of why do you use those?
Because I got stepchildren.
Jeez, free razor salt. Jesus Christ! Don't encourage him, chat. I will start blocking people.
He doesn't have that authority. I've made sure.
But yeah, so that's maybe I'll get back to doing it. I do like having my terminal full screen and dropping down. So maybe I'll get back to that. But I do wish I could just move like a whole desktop.
I wish there was. I can't remember the name of it now. What's iTerm? Is there an iTerm for Linux?
Tilix, the Tilix is the one I use. It has a lot of the same iTerm key bindings and functionality.
Because I've been using the built-in terminal and it's fine, but I miss the multiple panes, split windows.
Yeah, Tilix is you want. Tilix, the other one you might be interested in. So Tilix is what I'm using. I'm actually writing a blog post about this because somebody asked me to on Twitter. Tilix and Terminator are the two that are most similar to.
I use Terminator.
iTerm.
It's great.
Yeah, Terminator is pretty good. I think Kitty. I was using Kitty for a while. Kitty was super cool, but it has this weird behavior with like SSH and stuff, and where I was tolerating it for a while. Oh my god, this is bullshit. I'm not using this anymore. So Tilix is good. Terminator's good. Both of them actually open source. I know Terminator you can actually port over to Mac if you ever happen to go back in that direction. But
so why'd you go Tilix over Terminator? What was your?
I like to. So the one thing Tilix has is if you hit the F12 key, it does a right panel and shows you a preview of all the tabs you have open. So if you have multiple tabs, you can hit F12 and it does this little preview window of all the tabs you have open. I like that a lot. That's really the only reason I went with Tilix, because of that one feature. Besides that, I think everything else is, like I said, Tilix has more of that iTerm feel to it with like the preferences and stuff. So it's a good one.
Yeah.
That
Tmux I use, but not religiously on anything. I use it when I've only used it really when I'm running a very long running process that I don't want to close.
So that particular terminal that Buttery's talking about, that Alacrity, how do you say that? Alacrity?
Alacrity? Yeah, sure.
Alacrity.
Plus T.
Alacrity. It means speed.
Alacrity. Well, it makes sense. That actually runs on your GPU. So when I write up my little blog post, I did a time test on basically checking a directory, and where I didn't think a terminal would have that much of an impact with a GPU, I'm like, okay, why do I want to run my terminal on a GPU? It is actually very beneficial. A perfect example. So I actually run Alacrity, whatever. I actually run that if I'm vimming a big like SQL file. Like if I'm vimming a SQL file that's like 10 megabytes or 12 megabytes, I'll do it with that because it runs on the GPU and it's much more responsive. It does it much quicker. That's like a specialized tool, but it doesn't have splits or anything. You have to use Tmux. That's why he mentioned using it with Tmux. And there's no like preference panel. All the customization you do to it is through a config file.
Yeah, I remember learning Tmux to a point many years ago, and I liked it, but it's not something I use every day. So quickly exits my mind. Why are we talking about all this off the air, by the way?
Politics is too depressing.
Oh my god, I did want to say something to you guys about politics. I say I didn't want to get into it on the show because I didn't want to go down that horrible path, but it was so funny. The guy. So, Thomas, you haven't been to a lot of PHP conferences, but John, I'm hoping you understand what I'm talking about because I don't want to think I'm crazy. But when they showed the guy with the fur cap and the horns, the QAnon guy. There is a guy that walks around PHP conferences with this fake bear fur on all the time. And when I saw that guy, I'm like, holy shit, that guy's like everywhere, isn't he? This is before they stormed the Capitol building. I think I saw them interview him on one of the shows. I'm like, holy crap, I think that's that PHP guy. he's with some company. You know what I'm talking about, John?
Nope. I really don't.
Really? Oh my god, damn it! I honestly look for a picture because I'm like,
although I've seen people from the PHP community that post out memes all the time, posting like, here's how you get all of those pieces, and you go buy these horns and this vest
steal
and
his
this
look.
hat, and like you could be him. Yeah.
Steal his look. Yeah. Yeah, no, there's one of the vendors. I'm not sure if it was Twilio or one of the other vendors. There's a guy with one of those vendors who seems to be at all the PHP conferences, and at some point he puts on this fake bear fur. So it looks just like that guy. It's like, but it's a bear head, and he's got the paws. He just walks around the conference with this thing on. I've seen him at like Laracon. I'm pretty sure I saw him at PHP World, and I'm just like, oh, John's got to know who I'm talking about. But I couldn't find a picture.
Sorry.
If I could have found a picture, I would have posted it and I would have brought it up. But I didn't find a picture. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Alrighty.
All right.
I'm just glad all those guys are getting arrested and going to jail.
I hope.
But it is so slow to happen.
I hope the people who incited it have to face charges. That's all. I'm just going to say that piece of it. I'm not going to call out particular names. I'm just saying there are a lot of people involved who incited that, and they need to be held accountable.
Well, a bunch of them have already lost their jobs.
Really? I haven't heard of anybody losing their job. I've heard
they lost as of January 20th.
A bunch of a bunch of the protesters lost their jobs, but then Betsy DeVos resigned. The head of the DC police resigned.
Do you know the woman who was shot was from OB in San Diego?
Really?
Yeah, she was from OB. And I wasn't looking for it. So that was the one thing that was bothering me. I'm like, all that stuff that was going on, all that chaos, all that confusion. You're telling me the person that got shot was this lady, who didn't have a weapon, who didn't have camouflage on? I saw the video.
Yeah.
I know what happened. And yes, it was justified.
Fucking
it was
idiotic.
a terrible thing.
And it had the exact intent. It had the exact intended effect was everyone stopped what they were doing and thought for a second.
Exactly.
Wait, what? What are you talking about? What I miss?
There was a woman who got shot.
So what happened was a lady was shot in the Capitol building.
That I saw.
Okay, so what happened was the Secret Service had barricaded a hall and had put barricades in front of his door.
Like chairs and tables.
And so the people started breaking out the glass panel on the door and climbing through, and the Secret Service guy was like, don't come in here, I'm going to shoot you, don't come in here, I'm going to shoot you, and shot him. The reason why is because fucking Pence was there. They were guarding Pence. And he's like, I'm not kidding, I will shoot you. And she just happened to be the first one who tried to climb through this broken window.
I mean, you say she didn't just happen to be. She was trying to be at the front lines of what they thought was a coup. I mean, it wasn't like.
And to Thomas's point, it had its intended effect. The second it happened, nobody else tried to climb through that window. And as it turned out, I mean, this was a Secret Service guy. You see on the video, he clearly has his gun out. He's clearly telling her
he's pointing it at her, and she's
through.
looking at it, and then tries to get to him.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And as it turns out,
I saw a very grainy video of it.
No,
with no sound, so it's very
there's 4 videos now, and there's a video on Reddit with all of them all of them at once that are matching time code, so you can see.
I haven't
there's a
seen
video from inside the hallway that shows it, and then there's one that's further back in the crowd where you can see her get through the window before she's shot. I mean, it was treason. It was an attempted coup on American.
Up until I saw that video, I got to be completely honest with you. and maybe this is the liberal in me, I don't know. But up until I saw that video, I was saying to myself, there can't possibly be any justification for that happening. Like, of all that stuff, all the stuff that happened there, I could have seen people getting shot in so many stages of that. Whatever caused this one woman to get shot, there could be no justification. And then, of course, I see the video. I'm like, all right, there was a justification.
This whole situation was ridiculous. That I knew about this protest 2 weeks ago, and somehow the DC police were unprepared for it. Like,
everyone knew about it weeks ago because Trump was saying, "Come to the
rally on
White
the
House.
6th."
You need to be here."
And the Proud Boys were saying, "Yeah, we're going to bust in, steal the electoral votes, and burn them." And I'm like, you know, the punishment for that is death, right?
Wasn't he like at that rally saying we're all going to march there, or we're all going to go?
The president of the Proud Boys was arrested 2 days before the rally for some.
No, the president of the United States was talking to people saying we're all going to go.
Well, Trump said, we're going to march down the street, and I'm going to march with you. And then he got in his limo and drove the opposite
and
direction.
apparently watched Animal Planet all day.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I guess Giuliani said that his words were something along the lines of, we'll do this through combat. We'll take this through combat. These people have got to be held accountable. Have to be held accountable.
Well, Giuliani at minimum will be arrested. I mean, at minimum. I don't know if Trump will be arrested. My standing theory for Trump is that he is going to go to Russia and live there for the rest of his life.
Nah,
wouldn't that
I don't
be
think
something?
so.
I can't imagine that happening, but wouldn't that be something? I see him opening a huge property in Russia and just spending a lot of time.
That's what I think he's going to do.
Yeah,
I think he's going to.
And what? No, he's got the Secret Service here. There's no.
He's going to get arrested.
He's not going anywhere.
There's going to be charges brought against him. He's going to be held accountable for his tax fraud before he was president, because all that's coming out. It's not just the crimes that he's perpetrated as president. It's the stuff before that's actually getting investigated by New York and Florida that he's going to be held accountable for afterwards.
He can't pardon himself.
He can't.
The whole pardon thing is driving me nuts.
You can't pardon yourself for a crime you haven't been accused of.
That was the question. He wanted to pardon himself, his family, and Giuliani, and somebody said, "Okay, what are you pardoning for?"
Yeah.
Like, what is the charge? What do they do wrong?
It's not an open-ended pardon.
He can theoretically write a pardon with his name on it and sign it, but if it holds any legal value, that's completely undecided and probably not true, like probably false. But the question is how much time does he have? Because they're talking about impeaching him tomorrow, again.
Yeah. Which I think will be more of a statement in history than actually any functional thing, but I still think they need to do it. I mean, so basically the Democrats.
But here's the thing: it depends on how long it takes to certify the Georgia results. Because once those results are certified, they're not certified yet. They're closed. So Georgia.
The woman
right, but they don't officially have the position until the certification process is complete with Georgia, and that's a whole bureaucratic thing. Mm-hmm. If they get that,
so they take the Senate at that point.
So if they get that certification,
well, no, they don't. They don't take the Senate until Biden starts serving. So
they take 50%.
Yes, because what's her name is.
But they already have Republicans. They already have Republicans that said they will vote for an impeachment, just like last time. That gives them a majority on the impeachment.
They all. I guess they all don't
51.
have to vote, but two of them have to vote because they still have Pence.
No, Pence is a tiebreaker vote. He doesn't have a standing vote in the Senate. He only votes if there's a tie. So they only need one Republican, which they have, to push it through all the way. So. On Monday, they could push an impeachment through from Congress to the Senate immediately, because McConnell is gone.
And like I said, they absolutely have to do it. Well, he's not gone; he's still there, but
Well,
they absolutely have to do it because otherwise, history is going to say, yeah, and after that happened, the Democrats just sat on their hands. They have to do something. They have to make a show, and it won't have any real effect because of where he's at in his presidency, but he will be a 2-time impeached, 1-term, never popular vote president.
and what I think
history.
the minimum they can do is that the House can actually change his title after he leaves office because they can write a decree. The House can write an official declaration that changes his title to disgraced former President Donald Trump. Which that'd be great.
I'd be surprised to see that happen. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think history needs to record not only his actions, but the actions of his supporters through all this. This needs to live with them for the rest of their lives and beyond. Their children need to answer to why their grandfather supported this maniac. And it's
like, hey, why is there a Nazi hat in Grandpa's attic? Oh.
A MAGA hat? Yeah, that was from a different time.
People didn't know
different
better.
Time, son. Oh man. Yeah, I finally All right, yeah, I think that's a good spot to stop. All right. Talk to you guys later, man.
All right.
You guys take it easy. This was fun.
Right.
I'm glad we got back together.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, it was fun.
I will see you on Rocket League.